Members, I rise in opposition to this. This is a land grab by the City of San Diego. SANDAG is an association of member agencies that work together for regional answers to solve regional problems. Every agency gets one vote and has one say, one vote, one member. And that's a good system. Sometimes it makes it more difficult to get things done, but when things get done, everybody has input and say. This would reduce it to 4 agencies out of 19 would have the control of all vote outcomes. It shifts the majority of the power to the City of San Diego at the expense of coastal and rural communities in San Diego County. It marginalizes those communities because it shifts their right to be heard to the city, giving the city the ultimate authority over the rest of the county. It also, interestingly, prohibits SANDAG from putting anything on the ballot to take it to the vote of the people. It shifts the vote away from the people, marginalizing the people, or the people's voice, to these agencies. And it gives just a small group, sort of like the Electoral College that you all oppose. So you're shifting away from the people's voice to the Electoral College's voice, and you all say you don't support that. Unless, of course, maybe if it advantages one party over another. So 15 of the 19 member agencies have written a letter of opposition to this. But naturally, because 4 of the agencies would have control over all 19, 4 didn't oppose it. Look, if for no other reason, you should oppose this because the people of San Diego County won't have the opportunity to vote on it. There's a reason why they added that clause. It's because it wouldn't pass. If this was put on the ballot, 19 out of 19 agencies that represent all of San Diego County, 15 of them oppose it because 15 of those agencies are left out. And the people that live in those areas would vote against this. So this would be struck down easily if put to the vote. That's why in this bill, the people won't be able to vote on it. That SANDAG won't have the right to put it on the ballot. They can't vote to put it on the ballot. Look, San Diego voters deserve a voice, and we should listen to them. But this bill would prohibit them from having a voice. Now, either we're for marginalized communities or we're not for marginalized communities. Either on one day, when it advantages us, we're against the Electoral College, but the next day, when we can shift the power to the Electoral College on a local level to deprive the people of their voice, we're for it. I know you're better than that. That's why I wanted to lay it out in the most simplistic of terms so that we could cut through all the mumbo-jumbo, legalese, and get right down to the basics. If, where you live, you'd like 4 agencies out of 19 to control the destiny of your roads, your infrastructure, of course you'd be outraged because you'd want every community to have an equal voice. You'd want everybody at the table so that when you agreed, those taxes that SANDAG passes tax all of San Diego County. They don't just tax some. Yet the people who decide where that money go, it will be a few among the group. So with that, I would urge some common sense. I would urge that we would fight for those marginalized communities that this bill marginalizes, and that they would be allowed to have that voice. I urge a no vote. Members, if I were a senator who represented San Diego exclusively, or just a good portion of my district was San Diego, of course I'd support this because it puts all the power in the hands of San Diego at the expense of San Diego County and all those communities outside of the city. A colleague of mine had mentioned earlier that if this was put to the vote of the people of San Diego, they'd vote for it. So it begs the question, why are we voting on it? Why don't you just put it on the ballot in San Diego? It's because 15 of the 19 agencies oppose it. Why would you include in the bill that SANDAG, the community itself, can't put it on the ballot to let the people decide? See, this is a bait and switch. We're doing it through Sacramento because there's not support enough to do it in San Diego. And we don't want the people in San Diego to have a right to vote on it themselves to undo it. Everything about this bill while well-intentioned, is cooked. It's cooked over the people of San Diego. Otherwise, this would be authorizing San Diego to have a vote of the people on this at the next election. But they can't get the votes. And when San Diego threatened to put this on the ballot to overturn it, they added the clause that you can't put it on the ballot. San Diego doesn't have the authority to do that. Look, this is everything, while well-intentioned, and I get all the good reasons, it's government at its worst, because you're stealing the vote of the people and dictating down to them from Sacramento how their community should be managed. And look, we've got great members who have served on that board, who've done an outstanding job, who want the very best for their community. But their community is not all of San Diego County. Their community is limited to the haves versus the communities I represent, who would be the have-nots. Let's not marginalize people in the community. Let's let everyone have a voice. At the very least, let's strike down the clause that prohibits San Diego from putting this on the ballot to allow the people to decide. Then we'd have a fair chance. Then we can dictate what we want, but they'd have a chance to take it to the people. Or better yet, let's just take this bill's language and say, we're not going to pass it, but we will pass it to put it on the ballot and allow San Diegans to decide. There's a reason why they're coming to you to decide what's best for San Diego instead of going to San Diego to ask what's best for San Diegans. I urge a no vote.